Hello, this is Cassie B, and this is the Whatever It Takes podcast. Sadly, I have failed my exam, but I do not feel badly about this. Because honestly, I feel like I did everything I could to be ready for it, to pass it. I felt so, not overconfident. I knew I could fail. I was very nervous. But I studied and I studied and I studied every day. I made sure I took breaks. I made sure I took care of myself physically, mentally, and I still failed. You know, some people say, oh, if you did whatever it takes, whatever it took, I guess there's this kind of mentality that if you really had done everything you could have done to, get this thing, shouldn't you already have it? And I don't really believe in that, because I think at the time we can only do as good as we know how to. And, I know I did so much. I know I gave it my all. I know that I really, really tried. I really wanted it. I learned so much. And I guess the disappointing thing, if I had to say, would be that I actually, one of the sources for studying I did an official test, a practice test on the website of this exam, so it was official. So you're thinking, oh, I'll do this and then I'll kind of know what points to study on. So I did it. I wrote down all the answers I got wrong. I wrote down all the answers I got wrong. I kept studying. I found practice tests that were kind of like this one. So I studied and I did so much. And on the day of the test, by the 10th question, I realized that it's nothing like the practice exam. And when you do a practice exam, you don't expect for all the questions on that exam to be on the test, but you expect for it to kind of be the topics that are going to be on the test. That's why you take a practice exam. But I did not like that practice exam at all, because I'm studying it. I'm like, this is going to be on the test. I've watched all these different YouTube videos, all these different websites. I'm just learning all this stuff I need to know. And till the last minute, I'm studying and making sure I'm taking care of myself and everything I need to do. And I'm doing what I need to do. And that's what I know what to do in the moment. That's what I think is right. And yeah. And it turns out, from the test, from all my studying, of course, I'm assuming it didn't tell me what my score was. I think there's some way to look it up, but I haven't yet. It just happened today. I know I got some right. I know I got a lot right, but by the 10th question, I kind of knew that it wasn't what I want. I wasn't where I wanted to be. It wasn't like the practice tests. And practice tests aren't supposed to, they're not supposed to be exact copies of the test, but they're supposed to show you what you're lacking in. And by the end of the time period I had before my test, every single question, I could answer every single question on that practice exam. So by the way I looked at it, there was nowhere where I was really lacking, because after I took the practice exam and it gave me a score, it was like, oh, you got 80 out of 90, you got 70 out of 90, something like that. And so then the questions I got wrong, I wrote down so I could study these topics. And I studied these topics. And by the end of the time period I had to study in, I knew all the answers to these problems. And I knew, all this information. And when I got to the real test, it was just like, I don't know, the format wasn't even, it didn't even feel the same. It didn't even feel, there was so many questions that should have been on that practice exam to give me hints that like, oh, I really need to study this. I shouldn't be getting 100 on the practice exam and not getting the questions on the real exam. That's like ridiculous. Why would I physically bought this exam for like $30. Why would I buy something that's not really helping me? And it was on the official website, which is really strange. And so I used that practice exam to find like quizzes and other things that had the similar material, so that I would do quizzes every day, at least even on the time between taking the practice exam, taking a little break, and the month before my test was scheduled. I would do these tests every day, and I would do up to like 3 of these tests so I could get this information in my mind and be like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about failing, because I did everything I knew how to do at the time. So it's just, it's hard, being so out of the ballpark. I thought I was doing very well. I thought things were going well. I thought I was close. And I might have been close. I didn't get the score of the test. Maybe I did get that 70-80%. Who knows? If I do find those results, I will tell you what it is. But because it was definitely questions that I got the answer from studying all that material, just because I kind of knew how it worked, But there was so many that were like, if it was on the practice exam, and I wrote all the questions for the practice exam down, then I would have said, oh, I don't know this. Oh, I need to study this. It's not, I think that was the biggest shortcoming, and it's sad that it was like an official test, but I also think, I'm not an experienced person at studying, so sometimes it will take me longer, and I have some learning disabilities that make it harder for me to focus and such. So those are also things that maybe it will get easier, but I don't know, I just looked up so much information. So for so long, I've been studying for this test. But I am not disappointed in myself. I am so proud of myself because I learned so much. I learned I bet, because this is a test that has like pharmacy math, and it also has like pharmacy like rules and laws and like, safety regulations, so much stuff. I bet to you that I got all the math questions right. I got all the math questions right in my practice exam, and I bet that I got all the math questions right in the real exam, because that's something I put so much time into learning. Because I realized on the practice exam you needed to learn that, so I did that. And everything else I got wrong. Well, actually on the practice exam I got all the math right, because I knew to focus on that. I wanted the practice exam to tell me more of like the categories I had to focus on. And none of the questions I got wrong were really as prevalent on the practice exam as they were on the real exam. I understand that a lot of exams and tests, they're like randomly selected, and that's fine. But I think this was a exam that was kind of, there's different there's different, if you take it again, it's going to be different questions, but I think there's like some sort of guideline, like different options of the test that it will give you. But they all have like 10 questions of math. They all have this. They all have that. And it's just hard. But I'm okay. It definitely, when something like this happens, it definitely hurts. It's definitely hard, because I truly do believe sometimes we attach our other goals, our other dreams to things that we don't have yet. Like, we're studying so hard for a test, and then that makes us think about college, and that makes us think about, if I got this test, then I can really do it in college. I can really get it done. And frankly, I think college is definitely hard, but I think it would be easier because you have a set amount of work each week. It's not all on your own. For this test, I had to find all the information on my own, try to figure it out. I did this course that was quite expensive, and it was just, I don't know if that course was really the best thing, and that hurts a little too. I think it was a good decision for me to do all this stuff. I've grown tremendously, but it's just hard when I think a lot of school work and a lot of studying work and stuff, they throw so much information at you. And they're like, you have to pick this apart. But they don't really give you a starting point. They're just like, here's 40 chapters about this topic. There's some things you need. There's some things that are absolutely not going to be on the test. There's, learn about this guy. There was so many, there was so many, questions and things, when you're practicing from, a textbook. The first few chapters are just, the questions they have for you to answer. They wouldn't be on the test. There was no questions about, this scientist, this person who did this pharmacy work, this thing. And it's, hard to figure out if it's gonna be or not. I really thought I was doing well, and I do believe I was still doing well for myself. Maybe not for this test, this exam. But it's so hard. It really, just doing an exam in general, it's 2 hours of sitting somewhere until the last minute trying to be like, do I have it? Do I have that one question I need to get where I want to go? And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm glad I did it, and my life will still go on. It's kind of in a point where I know where I'm heading, but I also don't. Because once, whenever I have something like a test or something, I know it can go 2 ways. You should never be too sure of something. So I didn't go into it being like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this. I got it. Because the whole time I was kind of thinking, what if this practice test doesn't have the right information? And I was thinking that, and I was trying to work, with that idea too. I was looking at YouTube videos, I was doing this and doing that, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes your mind can only focus on so many things, so you only focus on those. And you really, you think it's better to do this than nothing. But I really, really did try to get all these categories, to get all these things, and it's sometimes hard to learn these things, because they make you find your own information, which I know is how you do it, but it's hard. It's hard when it's not just like, study this, because I can do that. I can study this. If this is what I need to know, I'll do it. A lot of things are made harder than they need to be. Something that I was thinking of from something I said was, I said that I had the thought in my mind that maybe the test wasn't gonna be right. And then it wasn't. And you know what I think that is? I think that's just like kind of using your mind, thinking about it. There's this thing that I don't really believe in, but I also sometimes wonder about, like, people will say, I forget the word now. People will be like, imagine it. If you think really hard, if you, put, I forget the word. I'll try to think of it and look it up later to tell you, but you can put the things you want into the world. You can, it has let me see if I can find it. It's, visualize. I think it's like, I'm trying to look it up on Google. Manifest, that's the word. People will sometimes say, you can manifest your destiny by thinking of it, and like saying, I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna get this. But then in a way that's kind of weird to me. It's not wrong, it's just weird to me. Because if that was the truth, if that's how life worked, then for all those years when I wasn't having a good life, and I wasn't being treated nicely, and things happened, and I lived in like a fantasy in my mind. Why don't I have those good things? And I know people say it will happen, not at the time you want it to, but It's seriously, I think there's more to life than just visualizing. I think you have to, manifesting. I don't know. There's something about that. I don't know, really. It's just hard for me not to take it seriously, because sometimes I want to believe in that, but also it makes me feel badly sometimes, because if that was the truth, then why couldn't I make it happen when I was in a bad situation? So I try not to, try to see life that way. Life is, you manifest things by taking action and planning things out. Things don't just happen. It's a lot of planning. And I don't want people to just sum up your hard work as not my hard work, but definitely, sum up let me use myself as a reference, as an example, See, what if I work really hard and I get a nice house someday? And instead of saying, oh, I worked really hard for this, it took a long time, I just say, oh, I manifested this with, a long time ago, I said this was going to happen. And maybe someday by coincidence it does. But I don't know, there's just something about it. No hate to people who do this and believe in it, and that's totally fine. We all live different lives, and we're finding things that help us cope. So it's definitely fine. It's just sometimes it makes me feel like I don't try hard enough. I don't manifest hard enough. I don't make my dreams come true. That's why everything was so bad, because I didn't try hard enough. And I think that can be a really sick thing to think, a really bad thing for you to think, that all the bad things in your life is because you're not trying hard enough. You don't want it enough. Life takes a lot of hard work. I think I want to see it like that. I want to say, I got out of this bad situation because I worked hard. It doesn't, not hurt me when I work hard and my hard work isn't rewarded. But I can still feel proud of myself. I can still feel like I've earned something, even if it isn't the thing I wanted. So, yeah, I'm very proud of myself. And, yeah, trying to, make the best out of a bad day. After my test, I felt fine. I was sad. And sometimes in the moment you have to go somewhere and you have to cry about it. Or cry about it. Anyway, you want to cry. But, yeah. So I did. And sometimes when we release, our feelings, cry about things, feel our feelings, it will put a lot of strain on us. We'll get a lot of tension and a lot of stress, especially if it's not happy tears, it's stressful tears, because you were sitting in an exam room for exactly 2 hours, using every second you had to try to figure this out, So you feel those feelings, and in the moment you feel okay, but because that stress builds up and you haven't eaten anything since breakfast, and you're a little annoyed and you don't want to listen to Taylor Swift. You don't want to listen to anything. You want to be in silence. You end up upset and mad and kind of on the verge of, having a panic attack. And you don't realize that those are the feelings you're feeling, because it's all a little too much. I have to go back and forth between, because I had something fun planned after my test. So I had to go back and forth. Do I just want to go home? Because that's a good answer too sometimes. Sometimes to do the right thing for us, we have to choose to not do the thing we really want to do. Because if there's a lot of stress and anxiety and anger, we're not going to have fun doing that thing. So we have to choose to go home or to choose to do that thing, but only if we're in the right mindset, headspace for that. And it's kind of hard to decide that when you're not, quite there yet. So I had to go back and forth about if I wanted to go do this fun thing or to just go home, because that's okay too. I think sometimes this is definitely something I felt like if I'm not doing everything, then I'm gonna get nowhere. If I'm not doing it all, then I'm missing out. So yeah, in the end I decided to wait a little while, and I chose, in the moment I said, I think I need to go home, because I was really not, I can still be proud and not angry, but I can feel disappointed, all that studying and everything. So I didn't think I was in the right mindset to talk to people, but then I thought about it, and, I had eaten something. I had lunch a little while before that. And I sometimes we're very tired and we eat, but we don't, I guess it takes a while to get like the nutrients and to stop feeling hungry and pain and everything once you eat. So after that, I changed my mind. I said, I was thinking about these two things, and I don't know, just thinking about being sad, because all I was going to do when I got home, because I was exhausted, my bones hurt, I felt so stressed out, was to lay in my bed and go to sleep at like 5 o'clock at night. And I thought about that. And then I thought about this activity that I really enjoyed doing. Seeing some of my friends that I haven't seen in a long time doing this thing that's always been fun. And this thing that happened, it wasn't on my mind for a little while. And then it really, sometimes it takes a while for what's bothering us to really like take over, our being, to be like the only thing we're thinking about, the thing that's kind of driving us to the edge. So, yeah, so I realized I had another feeling I was feeling. I was feeling like I also needed to kind of put that thing in the back of my mind. If I went home, I would just sit with it. And as I started heading for the thing I wanted to do, seeing my friends and everything, my mood brightened up. How I was talking changed. Everything started to get better. In a way, I was still sad. I was still, throughout the night, I kind of, those points where you kind of like space out and you're just like thinking about that thing, and you just have to tell yourself, no, I'm having fun right now. I'll think about that thing in 2000 and never. But yeah. So I had a great time out. I had a great time seeing my friends. It really got the thing off my mind. Of course, I'm still affected by it. And I'll be affected by my failure, my grand failure for quite a while. But, usually when I have a problem, even when it's a big problem, if I have the things I need, like food and shelter and a bed, like a place where you feel really comfortable. For me, it's been like 2 days max in that thing. I can fix that problem with like yoga and meditation, and I don't meditate that much, but yoga and things like journaling and crying sometimes. Things that are good for us. And sometimes we don't realize they're good for us until we start doing them. So I really had a great time. I had a great time with my failure. And I don't think I'll ever truly see it as that. That big word, strong word, failure. I don't think you can ever truly fail until you stop trying. So, this is the Whatever It Takes podcast. Tune in next time for more.